Hey y'all, welcome back to the Black Boardroom. We are the collective. Minus one today. Nikita's not with us, but she'll be back. Before we get into anything, how are you doing it?
Listen, I am doing, as you guys can hear, I'm a bit hoarse, but the party must go on, the show must go on. So all is good. No complaints my way.
There
About
you go.
yourself.
There you go. I won't complain. How are you doing, Mr. Producer?
I'm groovy.
Oh, haven't heard that one in a while.
Groovy.
I'm
like
groovy.
Groovy.
All right. And I'm all right. It's been a long week.
Yeah, you know what? That's my bad. How are you doing?
Yeah, see, I asked her. She chose to ignore me.
Oh, you asked?
I did ask.
I did not catch that.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
well, somebody
say,
cares.
blame it on the hoarseness. That's yeah.
There you go.
Mm.
But no, I'm good. I'm good. Like I said, like you said, could complain, but we won't. Hey.
Exactly. We made it through. We made it through.
That's right. And we are here still standing.
Well.
So we are still in our series of how we see us. And so we are going to take this from the aspect of gatekeeping and leadership. But before we get into our topic, we did receive an email that I want to read for y'all.
Oh, okay.
For our shoulda, coulda, woulda. Okay, y'all ready?
Ready.
It's a good one. My boss has the worst breath in the world. And I have to meet with her once a week on Mondays to go over reports. She sits so close to me and I can't stand it. How the hell do I fix this? Now, before we answer, I'm going to give you a minute.
Listen.
I'm going to give you a minute.
And I'm accepting that.
We're going to make sure we good.
I don't know how I feel about getting the met.
Listen, I just accept it.
Stay
Thank
ready
you.
so you ain't got to get ready.
There
okay?
it is, that part.
All right. So anybody want to take this one first?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. I mean, because of the boss's role, obviously you're not going to just tell he or she, listen, you got to do something, but maybe they can do what you just did, politely, look, just ease into it. I'll throw it to a little drama, have a man. Would you like one?
Now, what about those people who you try to offer gum to and they refuse it?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Then what?
Then you're going to have to just suck it up, literally.
Yeah.
What else can you do?
Okay, so I do have a thought.
Okay.
What about, and since this only happens once a week and it's on Mondays, start the week with breakfast. Like bring in muffins, bring in bagels, donuts, just something, stuff at the drive-thru before you come to work. Just something for just the two of y'all. And just, let your supervisor know that this is something that, you just want to incorporate in the Monday report review. Okay.
So now you're going to go broke.
We're going to make it a thing. We're going to sit and have breakfast. Okay. We're going to go over reports. And so once she has something on her palate, right? So it'll get rid of all the bacteria.
The dehydration from the night before.
That's what's happening. That's what's happening. She's thirsty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a nice suggestion. That's a good, nice gesture. But I'm not going to be going broke because not necessarily going broke, but I'm not going to be spending my money.
How much is 2 donuts? 2 muffins, 2 bagels, and it's only once a week.
So then it's going to smell like sweet doo-doo.
You got to do that times or plus 4, right? Or times 4 once a week.
Oh, true. Indeed. Yeah.
See?
And then how many weeks are in a month?
There it is.
And then how many months are in a year?
There we go. It's getting expensive. It's getting expensive.
Supervisor, do you mind if I use some petty cash? Company card.
For her petty ass.
Listen, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, because people are like that. They don't take the hint.
Yeah.
They can't take a hint.
Yes. And then I'm like, in those situations, what do you do with those people? Like, because I'm just like, okay.
Listen. That's a tough one. Yeah. Y'all got to check out I'm going to share it with you guys and even the viewers. It's this lady in church, and I just saw it last night. I could not stop laughing.
I saw it.
Did you see?
Yes, the older lady. She was standing up. Yes, I
got
saw
up in front of that church and said, "Listen, y'all birthday be stinking."
Listen, talk about self-awareness.
Oh my goodness, the drummer was losing it.
I saw.
That was good.
But
she just went straight for it.
She said, "Listen, just tell me." I love it.
Yes. She said, I gotta brush my teeth.
Right?
She was just old enough that nobody gonna disrespect her.
Right?
Yeah. Older people get a pass.
There you go.
Older people are shot.
Yeah. Right? They be out of pocket.
They're free.
Nah, listen, they're shot.
They're free. Listen, who gonna check me, boo? I ain't gonna get in trouble.
That's exactly why they're
Who's
shot.
gonna sit me down?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. Right. And that's why they just go straight off. I was like, no, she did not.
She did, but she had to keep it real.
And she did. I mean, but
listen,
some of that pastor need to have a sit down. She did not need to use that moment.
She was probably talking about the pastor. Now, you know somebody who's up there speaking for however long.
This is true.
I ain't never met a pastor who ain't need a mint after church. I'm sorry.
You're right. That is a fact.
Yes.
That's a fact.
Yes.
So then I think it don't matter how much preparation, like you're going to get dehydrated.
This is true. This is true.
That's why you keep, your water with you.
Or Listerine.
Yeah, little swish.
I don't think the water's going
something, Listerine.
Water helps for ebb. It ain't going to help for sticky breath.
Listen, I always, mints and gum, stay with me.
Yep.
Because, I'm sure we've all been offensive at one point or another.
Right.
That's a nice way to put it, offensive.
That was a nice way to put it, yep.
So, just self-awareness. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
good.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that.
We'll pray for the
that
church.
That was a good one.
Yes.
For that Congress. Or congregation, excuse me. Not Congress.
And you put all your information in this email. I was not going to say where you work, and I was not going to say your name. I left that out. But thank you for the email.
Hilarious.
Yes. So again, if you want to send your situation to us for some good advice for our shoulda, coulda, woulda, please email us at the Black Boardroom Collective at gmail.com. All right, so part 3 of our series, How We See Us. So we're going to start with gatekeeping. So with gatekeeping, and we all know what that is, but we are going to talk through what it looks like and how it feels when we are gatekept by people that ain't us, non-Black people. What it looks like and how it feels to gatekeep each other. And also what it looks like to gatekeep our Blackness from being appropriated by others. So, where do you want to go with this?
See, for me, I'm not going to lie. I struggle with the whole gatekeeping thing for a minute, right? And when I say that, I mean, I really had to figure out, like, there's a difference between gatekeeping and sharing. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So, because yes, we have to protect our culture. We need to protect ourselves, right?
Okay.
But we still have to be willing to share because we are a vibe, right? And as long as we're educating, I feel like sharing is necessary sometimes. It's almost like I want you to see, for real, don't hear about. I want you to see how dope we are. All right. I'm okay if you come. Just don't try to come and take over and make it your own. That's the thing I can't deal with. But I do believe gatekeeping and sharing is different. It's a difference there. It's a difference. I mean, because again, when we share, like me, for example, okay, when it came to like my business, when I had, the store, things like that, whenever I would get an opportunity, just me, my heart, I would always put somebody else on. Like if somebody said, do you want to do a fashion show? I kept it in the community though. That's what I did. But I would hit somebody, oh, such and such is a videographer, or, like it was about keeping it amongst, the family, so to speak. But at the same time, I'm sharing. I'm going to share. Like, come to the show. Like, you can come to the show. I'm going to invite everybody, all walks of life can come. You're welcome. But don't try to come in there and take over. Oh.
But that's different. And here's where I see that's different. I think that's more of a leadership quality. Like, I am willing to give others information, provide that education so that it can help you get to where you're going.
Okay.
But not necessarily, I'm going to give you the all access pass to Black people and Black things, right?
Right.
Which is different. And, when you also brought up, educating others, is it our job to educate others, or is it their job to seek information on their own to educate themselves?
I believe if we don't, who will? They're not going to go. They're going to make it their own narrative. They're going to. But
it's all a part of doing the work. And if you really want to tear down those walls, then it's going to take a person doing their own work, and you can't do that for a person.
This is true.
It ain't gonna come from just reading a book either. Like, that's real
That's
work.
right. And that's the thing. And that's what I mean. So how likely is it for them to do the work?
I've actually seen it done. I've
witnessed that.
I've seen it done in radical ways. I really have. And to be honest with you, for most white people, when they take the time to do the work for them, they have to disassociate from all the things that they once knew. And sometimes that comes with all the people that you once knew.
Absolutely.
Too. So, but if you really want to get to the point where you are, and my words, decolonizing, certain aspects, or for me, it's everything really. Because everything does have a white-centered lens to it,
It does.
And that's the world as we know it. When you say the word mainstream, who do you think of? You don't think of us.
True.
Right. When you say the word history, whose history are we taught? Automatically, it's not ours.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So, these are the things I'm talking about. So if a person truly wants to know and truly wants to learn, they can do that.
Absolutely, they can.
Yeah. So, it can be done.
Yeah, I don't think that it can't be done. I just don't think it's going to be many people who are willing to or even really want to. Because it's one thing to talk it. Like, oh my goodness, you've been there. I think that you guys are just so amazing and snap, but do you really? So it's like, I like to sometimes invite people in. And I know most people, like our own people, don't like that. You know what I mean? But I like to, I know your view.
Right.
So I get it. But like, I've had both good experiences and, the thing is this with my family, right? So my family is like a melting pot. So we're forced to deal with each other no matter what, and I want them to know. Now, I'm not going to force anything on anybody. But at the same time, I do believe just like through conversations and communication, and like even when I was doing like my fashion shows and things like that, I believe that a lot of people who would not have come, I made them comfortable enough to want to come, and they were pleasantly surprised at what they saw, because we can gather and not have fights and shooting. Nah, we really are a vibe, and we're super creative, and they know that, which is why it's always being stolen. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm not saying that we should go on the street and pull everybody in. Like, I want everybody to know who we are. But I think there's a time and place for everything. And if we're living, like for me, I try to look more like God, right? So I don't pick and choose, because he didn't pick and choose. If he did, we'd be in a horrible state. But it's like, so I do try to look more like him. And I can't say this has been me all my life, but where I am now, I just try to look more like him. I'm never going to be identical because I'm totally flawed. But I do, like, if it's an opportunity to teach, I'm going to do it. But I also know how to be silent.
Yeah.
Heavy on that, because that's who I've been most of my life. And I know how to fall back and not even partake in that little buffoonery. But sometimes I do believe that it's a time to educate. Let them know who we are,
So there's two different ways you can go with that. So when, you say, you know how I feel, my views. And I do believe in gatekeeping the culture.
Yes.
Very much so. I don't think just because certain aspects of the culture, or you can do a dance that you invited to the cookout. No,
I agree.
I believe in keeping Black spaces safe.
Yes.
And keeping them Black spaces.
Mm-hmm.
I also have non-Black people in my inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
And that is my own personal thing that I choose. However, and those that are in my inner circle have enough self-awareness
Mm-hmm.
to know that when I'm in spaces that are Black spaces,
Mm-hmm.
they will not think to, invite themselves.
Yeah.
They would not think to, okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, this is a space that I want to respect for you.
Right.
And that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about interacting with others. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do that. But what I'm saying is, as far as gatekeeping who we are, there are just certain parts of who we are that need to stay among us.
It's true. It's
and
true.
I'll forever be on that.
Yeah.
Stuff that is for us, that is just for us.
Stuff. Yeah, I agree.
And
just like it's stuff for them that's just for them.
Right. Well,
Clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly.
And like even spaces like social media. If there's a post and it is for us and it is being directed to us, why are you in the comments? This ain't for you. Get out of here.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
How did y'all feel about the Super Bowl, Kendrick's performance, and so many white people, trying to understand the message and speaking on it on Facebook or Instagram or X? I call it Twitter still. Like, how did you all digest? How did the both of you digest that? And is that acceptable?
That's a great question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, brilliant performance.
Brilliant.
He is an artist.
Yeah.
He is a creator, a creative. He's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
I think that for the non-Black people who got it and respected it,
not many.
It's because they probably were those who have done the work.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they didn't understand it, there was some aspect of them that was like, you know what? I may not know the words, I may not know the songs, but I know this is greatness.
Respect it, yeah.
Right. And for the ones that were bothered, it's because you're not used to things not being centered on whiteness. So it made you feel uncomfortable.
Absolutely. I agree.
Because it was something that was totally not palatable for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we shouldn't have to water down who we are to make it digestible for people that ain't us.
This is true. And a lot of people approach performances that way. Depending on who the performance is for, determines how they put it out there. But he did not listen. He did not compromise.
Waver.
Not at all. And it was funny because I got it instantly. I got it. And I was just like, I was so impressed. So for me, to receive the feedback like the following day, it threw me and I was automatically on the defense. You know what I mean? Because that's just what it is. And that guy who was now be aware of your surroundings because you don't know how I feel about it. So tread lightly.
Right.
But instead it was I didn't even understand a word he was saying. I mean, I'm sure he's a good artist, but and then I had to say Kendrick killed that.
Yeah.
I had to say he's an amazing artist. You need to look him up.
You should have said, what about all the rock and roll artists?
I was just about to say that. Do we
perform
understand?
And are screaming.
Exactly.
That's what you should have said.
That's what I should have. Yeah, because that's always he's great. A band and they always and we're literally screaming, high blood pressure, no reason. At least get it from the food.
I think there was a Nirvana.
Like you screaming.
A Nirvana video, a performance that went viral, and that was the example. Of like, how can you say you don't understand what he's saying, but you're all the way okay with understanding? But that could just be a cultural thing, maybe not.
Because
to me that's noise.
That is
that's super noise. Yeah, all the way.
But now let me bring this aspect into it. Since you brought up the Super Bowl halftime performance, so for the Black people who thought it was boring, for the Black people who didn't like it, who didn't get it.
Yeah.
Again.
Are they invited to the cookout still?
Yeah, nah.
No, we don't like them.
Yeah, no, they're not.
If you come, you gotta stay in the car. We'll bring you a plate.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nah.
Yep.
Nah.
Then you ain't getting no mac and tuna.
No.
None of it.
No.
Because stop. No.
No, what you should have said was sit your black down.
You know what?
That part. That was a perfect listen. Because those comments were really making me mad.
Yes.
And sometimes I feed into it and I try not to because again, I'm like, you know what? They're ignorant. They don't know. But on some of those, I had the comments was so ignorant and just disrespectful. Even, when Beyonce had performed.
Which time? By herself?
Yeah, I'm trying to think where she was when she did the country music. It was recent.
Oh, the Beyonce Bowl.
Yes,
baby.
And look,
now,
I've been off our girl for a minute, but you got to respect talent.
Yes.
You got to respect art.
Yes.
And she killed that. Listen, me and the husband was like, because we tried not to watch it, we could not. We was like this.
See,
we looking through her, and he was like, "Man, she killed it."
And even if you don't like country music,
you gotta respect it.
It doesn't matter.
It does not matter.
Was brilliant, and it was authentic, and it was beautiful. And she had Vashon, not Vision. She had Vashon.
Come on.
Speak on it.
Yes.
How do you spell that?
Yeah.
I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, she'll have it.
Right.
But it's real though. I was definitely impressed. But she
Come
always.
On.
But even the response to that was making me mad.
Yeah.
She's not a country artist. It's like you can't. And then when she turns around and gets that award, I mean, it's what it is.
It is what it is.
Numbers don't lie.
Although, I don't think that should have been the album that she got Album of the Year for.
I do agree.
But she got it, nonetheless.
And that's just it.
So, hey.
Yeah, that's just it.
Yeah. So, still keeping on the topic of gatekeeping. What do you think of the coonery of it all when you see Black people inviting white people into our spaces for the sake of just wanting to not let me bring you in specifically, but how do I want to put this?
Straight no chaser.
Straight no chaser.
Just like I want to show you that I'm one of the good ones. I want to show you that I'm okay.
Oh, you mean when a house person
that part Tim Scott
like I'm a good Black person. I'm safe.
I can't stand
I'm
that.
an articulate Black person. See those over there, I'm not with them.
Oh my goodness.
So again, that crowd, sit your black
that part for real.
How many witches? Yes. Dr. Umar.
But now, have you ever seen that in real life?
Oh my goodness,
absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
And what have you done in response to that?
I have a better one. How do you maneuver in a world where you're not trying to play nice, but you're also not trying to come across like the stereotype or the label that they want to give you? Because I feel like that's definitely, I can say for myself, being the only Black boy in classes, elementary school, being the only maybe opinion contributor for publications. It's like, excuse me, I don't classify myself as the token.
Right.
Others may.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, but wait a minute, somebody has to open the door for everyone. Like we're so quick to chastise each other.
Yes.
For being one of one.
Right.
When that may not be the person's intention to be one of one.
Yeah.
But things take time.
Yeah.
It's true.
So how do we, have you ever experienced that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
what did you do to maneuver?
So I've definitely been the only one of us in spaces, sometimes in school, sometimes in, professional spaces. And what you do with that is you find a way to be authentically you.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this though. I do, and I have been guilty of code switching.
That's the part that
but not so much, not to the point that I'm still not being who I am.
Yes.
You know, that I'm still not
give an example.
Feeling like,
are you changing the way you laugh and the way you talk? Or are you...
Okay.
Okay.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So, you know...
Because I hate that ish, man.
I hate it too. And I had to catch myself. But sometimes when you're like...
Or you doing this? I hate that ish. Man, sit your black down.
But sometimes it's like, wait a minute. Did I really just laugh like that? Why'd I do that? Like... Not that they rubbing off on me, but it's just like automatically. I didn't even think about it. It's like what? No.
Yeah. Gotta check yourself.
Yeah, check yourself.
Yeah, it does. I think sometimes we do get caught up in like, it's weird to say out loud, but we don't want to be viewed as, you know,
non-safe.
Yes, that's a good one.
It is a good one, but go ahead.
Or because I can't stand that person who you were saying, like, you know, I'm not like them.
Yeah.
Not that so much, but at the same time, it's like I'm not hood. I'm not, but it's like you can't say it because now I'm offended. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? But I know what I mean. You know, and when I'm saying that, I know how I want to be viewed, I guess, because like I do work hard for what I have, and I want that to be recognized. You know, this is the thing. I don't necessarily look at it as being fake. Sometimes I think we just have to adapt, and I'm not saying like, oh my God, I'm not switching how I speak.
Yeah,
but maybe I will pronounce my words a little. You know, because I want you to know that I am capable of, like, I can romp with y'all too.
I don't think there's nothing wrong with that though. We have to throw because you talk grammatically correct that you talk white. Like throw that in the trash.
I'm just speaking proper. That's not white.
No, you're speaking English.
Yeah,
right.
But make no mistake about it, we are multilingual.
Yes, we are.
So come on.
Yes, we are. But
I'm
not going to say this is dope. At work.
I do all the time. Oh, yeah.
But see, like, you
respectfully.
Know, like, right. And like sometimes it slips, but it's really strange how when you're around your people, it just flows. It's just, you know, but you kind of have to think about what you're saying. Yeah. So, and how you're saying it.
Even with the wanting to come off as being perceived as a safe person, we're still centering the comfort of white people.
It's true. That's a fact.
And why is that the default?
Exactly. Because who are they?
We do it at the expense of our own safety. We do it at the expense of our own peace, just so that they can have peace, just so they can feel a sense of safety.
Yeah.
And again, it's that being authentic to who we are.
Exactly.
Is it worth that? If you have to do that for however long you do it for in your professional career just to reach the top, is it worth it to put all that work in of not being who you are to finally make it to the top, but I did it at the expense of who I really am?
Right.
I mean, the answer is no. And the answer is, that's exactly the person that you're saying, stay in the car. You're not even getting a plate from me. Like,
I know, that's right.
That's chalk.
Be hungry and hot.
Because there are times when you have to do what you have to do.
The window.
None of that. None of that.
And turn my car off. No.
But there's definitely times when you just have to adapt, like you said. But if you're doing it just for a self gain, like that's when you have no morals. You're just about self. And you're not like, now you're okay being the token. You're not trying to work the system to then bring others in.
Right.
That's corny.
That is corny. I agree. And I've witnessed it a lot.
And continue to talk like Alfred. And stay away from me. And I'm talking about Alfred from when we was growing up to Fresh Prince. Not the current Alfred. No, he's thorough.
Oh, you mean Jeffrey?
I'm sorry, I said my
Batman.
bad. That's why he was. Yeah, because you know Batman is like, I'm tripping. My
Jeffrey.
fault. Please don't take my black card away. I apologize. Jeffrey, my bad.
Jeffrey is super fly on this new one. He is.
Yeah.
He be fly, but yeah.
But now, so you just brought up a very interesting point when you talk about us making it and bringing others in. So what about those who make it to the top? And sometimes it can be very lonely at the top. It can be just us, right? That don't look to pull others up and bring them up with them. Or the ones that do.
Well, see, the funny thing about that again, being in the industry, like, fashion industry and the music industry, you see this a lot. You see it a lot. And a lot of people develop that mindset where it's like, I work too hard and I figured it out. You gonna figure it out. And it's like, I know people, it's like people right now just going through my mind that I know who have done that, who are doing that. And I'm like, dang, but on the other side of that, I understand it. It's really weird, because you do put a lot of work in. And you got to be the person, like, I'm always willing to help anybody who wants to help themselves. Like, if they really going in and they're trying, I'm always willing to help. But there are people who just want a handout, no matter who's giving it. You know what I mean? Who's going to compromise and make themselves, not Alfred, but now he got Alfred.
My bad. Alfred and Jeffrey the same board right now for me.
Got it.
But I mean, I've witnessed that a lot. And that's touchy. That's touchy for me because I've also been in a position, like I said, personally, where it's like, everybody don't deserve to be, I don't care who you are. Like, I don't play with my people. Like, I want to give, if I got an opportunity, you got it. That's just who I am. But some people will take advantage of you and your own people will also do that.
Absolutely. But I think if you're just that type of person, anyone would do that. And I just hate that sometimes we get labeled unfairly. Yeah. That's just what we do and that's just who we are because there is a population of us who think that about us.
Absolutely.
Which is not true.
It's not.
And if you use that to keep the gate closed, to not let others in, then what is that saying about you?
Right.
That you have to be the only one there.
That's right.
And then so how much more lonelier is it that you remain the only one there instead of really reaching back to pull up others who could help make things better and help make things easier.
Right.
And change the whole landscape.
Right. Because you can't do it by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a selfish move, but it happens far too often.
Yeah. And not only that, but you're not going to be there forever.
That's right.
So then once you're gone, who's there to take your place? And if it's not any of us there, do you really think that the intentional effort is going to be to bring more of us in that space?
Right.
It's not.
And those people that want to just be like the only ones, I feel as though they have insecurity issues, which is why they gatekeep in the manner that they do. That,
I think in addition to that, there are some people in which I hate this, and, me and you literally just talked about this, that people will put their identity into what it is they do instead of who they are.
Yes.
So outside of the status you have, outside of your role, outside of what you do, as far as your career, how you, make money, who are you?
Who are you?
And if you are so wrapped up in that aspect of what it is that you do, and you make that the identity of who you are,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
But do you, honestly, there's a lot of people out here who do not know who they are outside of what they do. That's a fact.
Right.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
That's super real.
Uh-huh.
And look at what we ask people when we meet them. So what do you do?
Exactly. That's the truth. Not who are you?
Who are you?
That's the new way to approach it. That is the truth. And there we go right back to the ego, because your accomplishment is a small part of who you are.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, what's under all that? Like, what's beneath? Who are you?
The character of you.
That's right.
The personality of you. And if you don't have an identity outside of that, then
go that away.
Yeah.
Inner Jay-Z voice.
So now I do want to go to something else that we brought up. So you guys did touch on being professional and, speaking articulately. So the whole idea of what we have bought into of what is professional, of, someone who is articulate, someone who has all the things and has the look, the, presentation, all of that are pillars of white supremacy that we continue to uphold because we feed into it. So why aren't we doing what we can if we're being authentically who we are, showing up in spaces, authentically is who we are? Why aren't we tearing that down?
I think that some of it is an individual being their authentic self. Like, for instance, 60s, 70s civil rights movement, we dressed like we were going to church. That was the dress. I don't know. I didn't live it, so I've only heard opinions. But that was like more. Matter of fact, I don't even think jeans was really a thing back then.
Right. It's
true.
So when you're talking about how they see us now compared to then, like whether we were wearing jeans and a hoodie now or a 3-piece suit then, we still were treated the same way. We're still, in a sense, by a certain type of, by racist, let me just, the same way. So I think that by me throwing it on, if I'm like suited and booted, whatever that looks like, that could be sweatpants and some fly sneakers, that could be a turtleneck and some, chino pants. I think that that's not me fitting into their society. That's me being me. So I hope it answered your question.
Yeah,
it may not have.
Most definitely did. And you know what, that you saying that brought up an experience that I had years ago. So I had a friend who I was sharing that I had an upcoming interview. And he was asking me, so how are you going to show up? I was like, what do you mean? Ask me. And he was like, okay, so I just want to let you know, and you know me, hoops forever, but, you might want to consider wearing some smaller hoops. You might want to maybe just wear studs. I have 4 holes in this ear, 3 holes in this ear. Literally ever since he told me that, and he told me this, gave me this advice too. He said, you might want to take out all those earrings. And I did. And I just never went back to putting them all in. And this was years ago. And after he told me that, I just never put them back in.
And it just put them back in.
Not intentionally. I just never did.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he was like, yeah. And, just talking to me about my hair and stuff. And I'm just like, now he's a professional man, but I understood where he was coming from. And I understood that he was not telling me wrong. And I did take his advice. And it was very helpful. But I'm just like, these are the hoops that we have to go through. Again, to prove that we're safe, to prove that we're able to do the job, where you've already seen me clearly. You see my credentials on paper. So apparently.
Yeah.
It shouldn't matter what I have.
Right.
It should not
I made it in the door.
Because your breath stinks and you're sitting on the top of the world. So.
That part. But that is so real. That is so true. But again, I mean, because and that's what I'm saying, Brittany. Maybe it's, I don't know the words to use, but that's like what I was saying earlier. Because I understand what you mean. Like, you understand what he meant. You took his advice. Yeah. But at the same time, why would that have been wrong? Right. Because it's like, it's almost like somewhere in here, we're looking at that like that's ghetto. Or that's too black.
Yeah.
We are our own kryptonites.
Absolutely.
And how we see us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Listen, oh my goodness, it's so true. So I was watching The View and Sunny, the Spanish okay, lawyer.
Yes.
Get it right. No, I'm joking. Just JK.
Yeah, she's a lawyer out here. And she mentioned that exact thing. And if you look at her now, because she has all this
yes,
piercing,
she does.
It's beautiful.
Yes, she does.
But she said for the longest time, she could not go to work. She couldn't show up that way.
Yeah.
And she said it took her years until now in her 50s to embrace that. And it's only because of her platform, because you know, who gonna stop her? Who gonna stop her?
Absolutely.
But it's like, that's just so unfortunate that we have to even think about that. And why does that become, and it's really, a lot of times it's levels too. Again, it's because of her platform. So like that's ghetto. But now Beyonce came and she had all of this, or even Sunny. Now it's a whole vibe. It's a trend. And now here we go with now they're going to be wearing it.
Appropriating our stuff.
That's right.
Yeah. I hate that.
I know.
You know, it's.
I think that's what you were referring to in the very beginning when you were asking about letting them in, like to how we are and like to our flavor. And is it okay for them to do what we do?
So I don't see that so much as us giving them the all access key to be let in. As opposed to you're just taking from us
that's robbery. Yeah, no question.
Right.
So yeah, I do think there is a difference. Now, with what I was saying was just allowing people to have a pass to do whatever, say whatever. Like there's been white people who every 5 seconds they talking to me, girlfriend.
Yes.
So, and I'm like we don't even talk like that. What are you doing?
The girlfriend. It was
like
those are the ones you just gotta like. Those are the ones.
Yeah.
Those are the ones, and they're telling you exactly who they are.
But also correct. Don't just let it go and ignore them and don't say anything. You correct them.
You have to correct them. Yeah.
Yes.
And that part is sticky.
Yeah, because it's uncomfortable.
I didn't even realize one time that it was happening. Like I thought it was really like a genuine joke until I was talking to my other Black counterparts at work, and the joke wasn't like they were not happy with the joke. And I was like, oh, snap. What a pie in my face.
Right.
You know, because you sometimes you just don't know.
Yeah.
And that's also super unfortunate when you don't know, or you're so looking for it so much that you're like psyched out. You know what I mean? Yeah, that. So again, to the Kendrick portion, the Kendrick halftime question, some white people I felt as though were asking because they wanted to be down.
Asking what?
Like, exactly. What was for instance,
like what it all meant? Like,
we were like, if this was meant for me to hear the message, to understand, I wish I could have understood what he was saying.
No, and I respect that. Then I mean,
but it's also like,
I respect it if they really want to know what it meant. You know, like I hear it was like a big message behind it. I genuinely don't know what it was. Do you mind sharing? That's like, okay. Do you really care? If you really care, let me invite you. This is what he meant by that.
But take away all that though. Not listening to the music, purely looking at it. You couldn't tell? You couldn't tell with the red, white, and blue? You couldn't tell how they were in the shape of the flag and then Kendrick was in the middle and split it? Like that we're divided? You can't, like these little takeaways, you can't hear like Uncle Sam and hear the things he was saying, like those little nuances, like you don't understand those things.
We get
to
that.
Us, it's like he's shouting it and plain, like, because that's our life.
Right.
They're so ignorant to who we are and what we really go through is crazy.
Or what they do.
What they do.
Like
that's
it literally took.
They're in denial.
It took someone like myself a second or 24 hours to digest. Now, certain things I got right away.
Oh, yeah.
I got like the whole Uncle Sam was a direct Pimple Butterfly segue.
Yeah.
Like you had to, if you followed Kendrick's catalog from maybe not Section 80, because I didn't get hip to him then, but from Good Kid till G and X, like there were definitely things in that performance that you could directly identify from an album that's like almost 10 years old.
Or even if you're not a Kendrick fan and don't know the music.
But I think it was so much being thrown at one time.
Yeah.
If you're not in the culture, because there's a lot of different cultures. If you're not in the Black culture, if you're not in the hip hop culture,
right.
if you're not in the commercial culture, then it's literally sensory overload.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not saying to make an excuse.
Which is funny because had Taylor Swift or someone else did a performance with a message. Indeed.
I'm sorry.
Indeed. With a message behind it, though, but they would be able to write a dissertation.
Of course,
on it.
because that message would have been but
my point
direct.
is, okay, for them. But my point is, though, it's still artistry.
No question.
It's still art. It's still music and creativity.
Yeah.
So if you're not able to come out of yourself and see that for what it is, when you can allow yourself to see it when someone else does it, again, it goes back to this, censoring whiteness.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about white people. I'm talking about whiteness because
that's two different things.
Right.
Yes,
because there are some white people who don't censor whiteness, who don't, live through that lens. And those are the ones who have that self-awareness or are able to come out of themselves and what they know to be able to be transformed, right? But again, doesn't matter who you are. If you're able to look at any other artist and get the message behind it, but all of a sudden you're deaf when it comes to this, then...
Yeah, it's definitely a smack in the face.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I'm not disagreeing. What I can appreciate someone who doesn't understand say, I want to understand.
Yeah.
And it was hard for, at least they're like saying it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do your research. Like have a segue conversation if you really want to understand. Because it's one thing, like, so if they're still saying it today,
then they don't
like, no. If they're still saying they want to, well, it could be they don't want to know or they want to know that bad and they're still bringing it up.
But if right now, there's no way, if they really want to know, they could have done research.
No question.
You see
it's
what I'm
all
saying?
over social media.
Because
there's a whole like book list of like
you can go on a post and read the comments and people breaking it down.
Yeah.
So yeah, like if you still acting like you don't know and want to know, now you're playing. You're playing
with me.
Because if you really want to know, you can Google that. It's all over because it happened. Now that it happened,
right? There's no excuse.
There's no excuse.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not now that I would not. If someone.
So should I sit my black?
No. You already said. Just stand in the corner. All right, y'all. So let's move on to leadership. So with leadership, I just want to make sure that we incorporate our shared experiences or ideas of good and Black leadership, good and bad leadership with Black people in leadership and non-Black people in leadership. Also, what do you think it takes to be a good leader? And do we, the Black community at large, have current leaders? And how do you show up as a leader? So let's just get started wherever you want to take this.
Well, so non-Black leadership, I go straight to the White House with this one.
I knew you was going to do that.
I'm going straight to the White House with this one. I mean, seriously, a joke. It's a joke. I've never witnessed anything like this in my life. And the fact that people consider this to be leadership is crazy. Like, I don't know. We all have the same channels, most of us, and we're watching this. And I'm having these conversations. And what's blowing my mind is that I'm not the brightest bulb on the tree, right? But I'm certainly not the tallest. And when I'm watching, I'm looking at the same thing that the person next to me is looking at, right?
Uh-huh.
And they're literally, I have people, non-Black, who are like, I've never seen this before. This is just amazing. You have to, and I'm just like, it's amazing.
What is it?
Trump.
The boldness. And I've never seen him. I've never seen a president get up there and be so bold. And I'm like, that's because you're not supposed to be. This is the highest office of the highest representation of working for the people.
Exactly.
You were not, first of all, I don't think you were elected to begin with. So let's start there. But you were elected to be a leader of the people.
Of the free world, right?
Of the free world.
That's what
the greater good, the interests of the people. It is not so now I'm empowered and I get to do whatever it is I want because I have this position.
Yes.
You were appointed to that position, again, using that word loosely, to represent everyone.
And
who
what
resides
he's doing
here
with this position, I'm like...
Right, and not the idea of who you think should be here.
Right.
And if we're taking a real look at that, look at what that's turning into. Like, whiteness on full display.
Yes.
So if you look anything other than, here are these consequences for you.
Right.
If you speak anything other than,
absolutely,
you're out of here.
Exactly. And it's happening so quickly. And I'm just like, and this is what I mean, we're watching this and we see what's happening. And for, these non-Black people to be justifying this man's actions and they're, well, no, you got to understand it. I don't have to, I'm understanding what I'm seeing.
That's so crazy. I'm glad I don't be involved in any of those kind of, maybe because of where I'm at, it's just different. But yeah, I'm glad that they're not, the conversations are not that loosely.
Oh, and just, even that he has people so comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, but even that, kind of goes back into, the importance of, because when we talked about gatekeeping and stuff, and I was wanting to say, we have to make sure that we're teaching our kids things that are slowly being erased. You see what I'm saying? Because once it's gone, we had grandmom and, grandma, great grandmoms, and it's changing slowly. And these kids for real don't even want to sit down and have a conversation. And they need to be talking and learning about their history because we see what's happening or what's being attempted now, trying to take, although in school, they're only teaching like this much of Black history. Let's keep it real. But parents, we need to do our jobs too and make sure that we're teaching our kids like our history because this man, he's a clown. And, the things that he's trying to take away and put in place is just like, it's blowing my mind that I'm amongst people who are acting like
nothing's wrong.
And it's
America as usual.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because this is the America that they've always envisioned.
This is true.
So
this is their America being great again. This is their America being great again. And that is like crazy. I just... So, that when I think of leadership, obviously I do not think of him, but it amazes me that people actually look at this man as a leader.
Yeah.
So what do you feel? How do you feel about those of us who, and I know we talked about this in the past, but again, when we're talking about leaders and how do you show up as a leader by casting that ballot and voting for our current president as a Black person, do you really think it's not going to have an effect now or short term or long term?
I have a tough
Do you think they
that.
even care? Do you think they're so comfortable being in the mix that they don't even care? They feel like I'm cool, I got my bag, I'm getting my bag, I'm good.
there are those of us that very much feel that way. And not just in relation to the administration, but just period. As long as I'm getting mine.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And to me, that's not leadership. To me, leadership is your reach. To me, your leadership is, who you're affecting. Because anybody can hold a position of power, but that doesn't make you a leader.
Does not make you a leader. That's right.
So when you lead something, there has to be something that follows that. And if there is no one with you or behind you or for you, because of your own selfish reasons and motivations, you choose to be alone on an island, or because you truly don't have the skill to help develop anyone.
Right.
Again, you're not a leader. And I don't care who you are, Black, white, anything else.
That's right.
You're not a leader if that's the case. Now, I have been in positions where I've had a Black supervisor who very much was a leader, who very much was a mentor to me, and we are still tight to this day. I have been under someone's leadership who was Black, who was not very much of a leader, was not very, much of a mentor. And it was very stifling for me, having to navigate and find my own way. It was uncomfortable. And again, I just hate when we're in those positions where we just have to figure it out ourselves. And I'm not to say that someone has to be there to always talk us through and always give us the answers.
Absolutely, I was about to say
but
that.
What I mean is knowing that you have support, knowing that you can go to someone, knowing that there is someone to talk to, knowing that, I am trying to advance to the next level and this person is going to be there to support me.
Right.
Because once again, once that person is no longer there, then who's going to be there to step up and then take their position?
Right. But then, because I've had that experience as well, it's kind of like what you just said. I'm in the position, I made it, I. I don't care about who's beneath me, so to speak. And I must say, when you go to a place of employment, which is not what I push. Everybody knows I don't really push working for nobody, but we got to eat. But it's like, when you go somewhere to, and you apply for a job and you see your people in like leadership roles, like, in those positions, you do get this sense of like comfortability, like, man, like that's what's up, because you just think that they're going to be for you. Yeah. So when you get there, it is a huge disappointment. And it's like, when they're like total opposite. And it's almost like you don't even exist. Yeah. You're just and again, it's not like you're looking for special treatment. That's not it. Right. But it's just like we have this unspoken, you know what I mean? Like we
there's a sense of loyalty that should be there.
Absolutely.
Because first of all, there's not that many of us in the workplace together in one spot as it is.
Right. That's right. And then if you're in that position and then you hired me, you know what I possess. You know my skills, all my credentials, that. So it's like, even if it's just on, like, just let me know that you see me. Yeah. But I mean, you got your nose so far in the air. It's like, but I've witnessed it and it's really just put a bad taste in my mouth. And it just made me really not want to work for people that much more. You know what I'm saying? Because it's unfortunate, but goodness, because if your own's going to treat you like that. Yeah.
So do we have Black leaders?
Well, now, before we get there, really quick, I just want to say, if someone is a leader in an organization and you don't necessarily supervise any one of us, it is still, just like you said, that unwritten, unspoken sense of loyalty that should be there. And you need to reach out. You need to be the one that says, hey, let me take you out to lunch. Just talk, I do this if you ever need, anything. I am here. I am a resource for you. Yes. These are things that should be happening. And I think it's not so much that we need to be handheld, right? Or catered to. It's that we know the society in which we live that does not have a special focus on us, that doesn't centralize us.
Right.
And so we know that in many of those professional spaces, we are othered.
Right.
And not thought about. An afterthought, if we're even a thought.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important for us to make sure that it's intentional, it's purposeful, that we reach out to one another and we're making the effort.
And it's okay that if you come from a generation where you had to strap up your boots every day and you got to where you are because you had to do that. You didn't have, that's not our fault.
That's not our fault.
And please stop segregating us, because at the end of the day, in order for us to move the needle forward, we have to move as a collective. And it doesn't mean we have to agree on everything.
That's right.
That just means that there has to be the understanding and pave it forward, or what's that saying?
Pay it forward.
What is it?
Pay it forward.
Pay it forward, yeah. I've heard it said so many different ways. I'm like, what is it, really? But yeah, because I do think that that's trauma.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, from a generation that just, my supervisor literally said to me recently, you know what, never mind. I'm not going to do that right now.
Okay.
No, it wasn't nothing bad, but never mind. It was all good. I just don't want to misquote what he's,
Got you.
what he said. But again, it's just, I feel like our generation understands, like we're in the middle of, we see what happened with the generation before us.
Yeah.
And we see what's happening with the generation after us. It's like the NWA era. They changed the word and made it represent something different because they just didn't want to be treated that way.
Right.
It's like, we're going to control our own narrative,
right?
So that's cool. We just have to move forward together, and it's okay to deal with that trauma and be like, not throw it on. Like, we're not being hazed. We don't have to be hazed in order to be successful as Black people when it comes from generations to generation to generation.
And so I do want to speak to that too, because that self-preservation of, I got to look out for self, that is a trauma response. And if you're then inflicting that, trauma on someone else because you went through that, then that's something that you need to check.
That's right.
And then, to what you were speaking about because you had to work so hard and pull yourself up by your bootstraps, then I don't think that it's necessarily that someone else has had it easier, because everybody has their own journey.
Everybody.
It may not look like yours. I may not have had to go through all the things you went through, but I still had to travel my own way and take whatever time, however long it took me to get here. So although outside looking in, it may look easier to you because it's not what you went through exactly.
Right.
It's still my journey.
That's right.
That I had to travel and had to travel alone. And for me to make it this far and to not be embraced by someone who looks like me and someone who should definitely understand what it takes to get here, it's a slap in the face.
It's a slap in the face. It's hurtful. It's hurtful. And we've, unfortunately, this is life, right? So we're all going to have like similar experiences and things, but it doesn't make it any easier.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make it any easier. And, I've met women in really, really decent positions who are also willing and who have said, and I think that is so dope where, when they say, if there's anything I can do, I see you. I've had people say that. And I think that is the best feeling, so it kind of makes up for it because, some people just have horrible personalities. No matter what color you are, you know what I mean? Everybody was raised by somebody and maybe it's just how they were raised. It's not because, I don't want for people to be watching and think that we believe that we need these handouts. Like, it's not that we don't need, it's just one of those unspoken things again where it's just hurtful when it's our own. That's
Absolutely.
And it feels so much better when it's like, like when we work together, it's just, as soon as we met, it was just like this thing, it's just a thing that we have. And when you watch certain people, you know, like I was watching a news station that I never watch. I was forced to watch it. Right. They won't even get a plug. They won't even get a plug on this.
Gotcha.
But I was watching, I was forced to watch it. And it was, you know, and I've been in this position. I'm in this position where it was, you know, one black guy. Everyone else was white. And they were watching a news clip regarding a black guy and something that he did. I didn't even catch the whole story, but he was in jail. And the way he went in, that's ridiculous. He needs to be behind, locked under the jail. He was going so hard. And look, I don't know what that man did, and maybe he does deserve it. But I feel like he had that moment that we were talking, like, now you're just trying to prove that you're not like him.
Yeah.
So you're going super hard. And it's like, okay.
For what?
And you know, it was just, my skin was crawling because they were all just looking at him like, you know, like, yeah, let him do it. But they, you know, he was saying everything that they wanted to say, you know, and I was just like, stupid. But it was just because he's just trying to fit in.
The coonery of it all.
Exactly. He's a nut for even being on that station.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cardi was nut.
He
and rightfully so.
Yeah. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, you know, but and then now I'm watching this, you know, and I'm in the same position as him on the other end.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's a jerk. So, you know, I didn't necessarily call him a nut, but he's a jerk.
Yeah. You spell that, brava.
What is he doing?
BRAVA.
Thank you.
Got you.
Cause you are my sister, my strength.
Right. That's right. Shoot. But yeah. So.
But even with that, in spaces where, even if we're not in leadership, but you still see us,
yes,
then form your own group. Even if you can't be an official resource group or affinity group through the organization, make those connections because it's so important. Let, you know, the others of us that are there know that, hey, I see you, I got you. You do have, you know, a system of support here.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so, and you don't necessarily, again, have to be in leadership to do that.
No, you don't. You're right. We need to do a lot more of that. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, it has to start with us. Yeah. You know, and we need to be instilling that in our children. You know, it's okay to be exactly who you are, no matter who you're around. Yeah. No matter who you're around. Get comfortable. You know, they're going to look at you. They're going to watch you no matter what, because that's just, we're just those people. We're always going to be looked at. And, you know, they're going to be trying to find something negative to say. I was trying to explain that to my daughter because she's like, she just hates when people stare at her. And I'm just like,
well, she's a cutie.
That's why I said you're a beautiful girl. You're something to look at. And I'm not just saying that because I birthed you, but, you know, I'm like, it's just because, you know, you're smart. You know, you dress cute. You better. You dress, you know, you got a little style about you. And you're also, the thing is, bigger than anything, she's a sweetheart. She's a sweet girl. So I'm like, yeah, people are going to look at you, but don't be uncomfortable, because do you understand, people will harp on that. People want you to be uncomfortable, and they want to know that they have that power over you. Yeah. So don't even give them that. You know what I mean? They look and smile.
Don't blend in when you were meant to stand out. All right. So do you think that we have any leaders currently for us representing the culture, speaking for the culture?
Well,
yes, and more yes. But it all depends on who you're asking.
Right.
This is true. Well, we're asking you. Give us some leaders.
Oh, man. So
I know who I'm thinking, but I want to hear what you say. What you have to say.
You know what? I'm going to keep it a stack. I feel like Dr. Umar's a leader. Whether you like him or dislike him, I don't agree with everything he says, but I do feel as though a lot of what he says makes sense to the progression of us. Okay. I don't want to keep talking about Kendrick, but that's just like first another person that comes to mind. And again, I'm saying I don't want to solely focus on the entertainment side, because although Dr. Umar is conscious, he's the king of consciousness. He's been clumped in like an entertainer more than anything from a lot of individuals I feel as though are anti Dr. Umar. So I wish I could just regurgitate names that are not like entertainers, and I can't right now. So I am gonna go sit in the corner. My bad. I'm in the corner right now, y'all.
But I would think entertainers too. Like I think of Roland Martin. I really fool with him because he speaks on, and you know he always has his receipts, which is what I love. And he's coming from a political standpoint. But we need to hear it. He's an educator. So I love to listen to him. There's another guy I watch. His name is Reese Waters.
Yes, love him.
He's funny, but he's there. You know, he's very aware. Those are the two. And then I also got to go to. There's a dude I listen to. His name is Philip Anthony Mitchell. He's a pastor, actually. He's definitely a leader because he, he's talking kingdom talk, which to me is like necessary, but he's a leader because, he doesn't sway from God. Like this is where he stands, but he's very like, he's in a role of leadership and people follow him, and it's not, he's not trying to have people follow him, and he's not for the likes and the views. He's just speaking the truth. So I would consider him to be a leader as well.
What about you?
So I agree, with the more well-known people, the entertainers. We definitely have some journalists who are out there putting their voices on the front line, risking, a lot of their financial security to speak up for us. But when I think of Black leaders, I think of those who are like out on the front lines fighting for us. I'm thinking of the Tamika Mallory's. I'm thinking of the people at Black Lives Matter grassroots. The real organization.
I was just getting ready to say
the real organization,
we can
not the one that was stolen.
We'll do that later.
Yes, the
we'll
Black Lives Matter
later,
grassroots
baby.
that's really doing the work.
Yeah.
So people who are like literally putting their skin in the game, risking their lives for us, like you see them fighting, you see them protesting, they're speaking unabashed without any, regard for however it affects them and however it comes down. So that's what I think of when I think of leadership for us. And I know that we as a collective of Black people, we may not think that there's leadership that currently exists for us, but there is. And again, I think that the world, we have advanced so much from like, we're so far removed from the Malcolm and Martin of it all, where we could focus solely on those key figures, I wanted to mention Dr. Bernice King, love her, and she's still doing the work too. But, we're so far removed from that era where it was just focused on a few or one or two, but there's work that's still going on, and it's going to be going on, and it's going to take many voices. I don't think it should ever be just one that we elevate and highlight as
I totally agree.
Yeah, I agree too.
I totally agree. And I feel as though as long as you're genuine and you're doing the work, like I don't have to like you. I think I mentioned it earlier.
I agree.
I don't have to agree with everything you say. And that's another reason why I brought up Dr. Umar, because like he's
very controversial.
He's building a school. And although it hasn't opened to his original timeline and all of the things, he found it in throughout his journey, like that will help progress us. That's doing the work. That's just not putting the name of a saying on a T-shirt and saying, "Hey, look, like I'm in the mix now." So like I totally agree with you. As long as there's a lot of people that I see every day that look like us, that are us, that you would never come to my crib.
I know that's right.
It is what it is, like, because you're shot. However, if you're doing the work and you're being genuine about it, like That's all I really care about.
Yeah.
Like all that personal stuff, I don't gotta see you ever outside of like doing the work. Just do the work
and have a genuine love for the people.
Correct.
Yes.
And that will bring the influence. Like, you know, and when I say that, I'm thinking of the Nipsey Hussles. I'm thinking of, and even back when he was known as Neighborhood Nip, like it really takes those in your communities, your local community. Like we should all be seeing ourselves as leaders. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
I'm a leader where I am.
Yeah,
You're a leader where you are. You know, because we have the power to affect change.
Right.
You know, for those that we are in connection to, that, you know, is within our reach. So I don't think it's ever an idea that we should have that someone has to be on this astronomical level and doing all these things and have all these followers on social media, all the money and the influence behind it. Like it's really the us in the local communities.
Because we are the ones that really like push the envelope, push the needle anyway.
It's true.
You know, and I think it's just unfortunate now with social media that everybody is the person or can be the person.
That's right.
And that's why inflation is real.
You're right. Because, you know, these people on here on social media for these likes and views, you don't really know who they are. You know, they can say one thing, or like you said, it was perfect. They could wear a shirt that says, you know, my Black Life Matters or something. And you're like, oh, you know, but it's just, it's for the views. And, you know, you just don't know who they are. But those people like who you mentioned, who we're mentioning, like they 10 toes down, they've been in the game, they've been in the mud. And, you know, they kind of are showing who they are. You know, they're there. And like, I agree, we are all leaders in our own, you know, our own right. We're doing the work. We're doing the work, but it's kind of hard to decipher because of social media.
And the cameras. It's like, the camera makes everything look glam. But when the cameras are off, you know? To me, that's just like if you, you know, have fallen, slain in the spirit at church. If you getting up and, you know, you fixing your wig and wondering what you look like, then were you really
That's right.
out?
That's right.
Were you really? You know, so it's like once all the attention is gone.
You your wig.
Right. Once all the attention is gone. You know, there's no cameras, there's no people, there's no crowds. Are you still doing the work? Or are you just concerned with what you look like?
That's right.
Are you just looking for the next photo op?
That's right.
Or are you really there in the trenches? Are you showing up daily?
That's the real work. That's
Who
why
are you?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Right. Right.
That's why I do my best to not post like everything or even post so much of like progression for when it comes to us. Like sometimes we just gotta have fun. You know, we get too caught up. Like I remember a few years back, I had posted a picture of David Banner in a club, like in a VIP section with a bottle. And this is when he was really like on his, you know, it was because he was always on his conscious tip, but it was being polarized. Like he wasn't then being considered a Black leader, rightfully so. And the post I shared was like a reminder for myself that no matter how educated I am or how much I'm in the fight, like it's okay to still rock out with the homies.
Yeah, live.
You know,
life is to be lived.
I honor my wife.
That's
but
right.
I still think women are attractive. Like
absolutely,
you can't disconnect yourself from reality. Because then
absolutely
you're just not being your authentic self. So again, like no matter if you got on a hoodie and sweatpants or you know, a 3-piece suit, like as long as you are being your authentic self, I don't care if you talk like did it again.
Jeffrey.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
Jeffrey from the 90s. I did it again.
See, that's what I'm here for.
I appreciate it. And or your Alfred from Batman.
There you
like
go.
The new Batman joint, you know.
Good catch. That was a good
just be your authentic self. That's it.
Yeah.
And I think we'll be cool. And we can call out when there is buffoonery in front of us.
It's true.
Yeah.
We can call it out, and hopefully there's an understanding, and then the person can fix their wig, man or woman, and get it together.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think that we have to understand that there's a balance to it too. And so I just want to kind of go a little bit further and extend, what you were saying. So you can be that leader who is really taking the fight seriously, really doing all that they can to help others, but don't make that your life. Mm-hmm. Don't make that your identity. Mm-hmm. Have fun.
Yes.
There's a balance to it. We don't want you to burn yourself out, exhaust yourself, work yourself into the ground for what?
Goes right back to what she said.
Yeah, to say that you helped others. Well, what did you do for you?
Right,
That's right.
And a good leader knows that balance of the give and the take.
Absolutely.
No question.
As hard as you work, you should play just as hard. And there is nothing wrong with it.
And safe. Just don't be overdrawn, because then,
right?
Because then, we can't trust you because you just out here fornicating and stealing.
That's right.
I'm being honest.
Yes, it's true. And nobody's gonna take you serious. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
I feel like this was a really dope conversation.
This
was a really. I really missed that Nikita wasn't here.
Me too.
For this today.
Can I ask y'all one question?
Sure, please.
If we could take back anything that was stolen, taken, or appropriated from our culture and our people, what would it be?
I'm gonna start this off and say Black women. I'm not even gonna give an explanation for it.
Wow.
Figure it out.
Ooh. Sheesh. Well, that was heavy. Give us back our lips. I'm so tired. Okay. We used to get made fun of for having, big lips and you big lip this, and now y'all lips looking crazy. Like they got big saucers. Listen, this is what we do naturally though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Give us back our lips. Give us back our hips.
Legs, hips, and body, baby.
Come on. Lips, hips, and dips.
Right. Yes. From the rooter to the tutor.
Yeah.
What? I don't know. You know what? I was going to play off of what you said and say Black men.
I mean, you should though.
But, yeah.
We're all right.
But. I will say that only through the lens of us Black men and Black women being fetishized because of it. Mm-hmm. If there is a genuine love and a genuine interest, then that's different. But if it's something that you just want to try, something that you're just having fun with, something that you just, again, making it a fetish, then that's a problem. Or if you are with someone who's in the culture and you are not of the culture, but yet you disparage people of the culture, then there's something wrong with you. And I'm sorry, you're a horrible person.
Talk about it.
Horrible person. But I will say this. Our people, our Blackness, our culture is not a trend. It's an investment.
Ooh,
it's not a trend.
Drop the mic.
Drop the mic. We can't go. Where else can we go? We can't go nowhere else.
How can they follow us? How can they send their email suggestions?
Right?
How can they comment?
The Black Boardroom, y'all. So you will see us across social media on the Black Boardroom. Our email address is theblackboardroomcollective@gmail.com. Don't forget to email us your situations for your shoulda, coulda, woulda. We would love to read it on air, give you some fun advice. I think that about does it for this episode.
And don't be stealing it. That's hers. We got to coin that. We're going to have some t-shirts on.
We're going to take it a step further. We're going to get a trademark first.
Yeah, straight out.
And then put it on a t-shirt.
Investment, not a trend.
That's right. I like that. Say less.
Say less.